wait.
It's still preparing. So I'll do a welcome and turn it over to you. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Christine Craycroft. I'm the Executive Director of the Portage Park District. We are hosting a Zoom meeting live broadcast on YouTube for the Portage Park District's regular monthly May meeting. I'm hoping all of this comes through okay and you can hear us. We're still working through technology. This is our second Zoom meeting for the Park District. This meeting will cover regularly scheduled items for our monthly meetings, as well as some additional special items. I am here at our Park District office, along with our administrative assistant, Rory Becker, our operations manager, Craig Alderman, and the president of the board, Tom Hurdy. Just want to remind everybody that because of this, the COVID pandemic, the Attorney General's Office of the State of Ohio has allowed public agencies to hold meetings remotely. The public is able to view or listen to the meetings remotely. However, they cannot comment during the meetings. We requested that people make comments and submit questions prior to the meeting. We have not received any. We will go ahead and publish our minutes at a later date. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Hurdy to open the meeting.
Yes, I would like to call the meeting to order at 5:34 p.m. I'd like to have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Hurdy,
Here.
Commissioner Engelhardt,
Here.
Commissioner Orashan,
Commissioner Orashan?
Commissioner McKinney,
Can
I
you
don't know
see
why we're
them
not-
on video, sir?
We show that everybody is participating, but I'm not hearing Alan.
Yeah, did you hear Scott? Because I didn't hear Scott either on my end.
I'm here. This is Scott. I had a hard time unmuting.
okay.
Okay, I hear you now, Scott. But
Thank you.
not Alan though.
Why don't you call Alan if you could, make sure he's got it straight. If we'll just bear with us for a moment, make sure we've got everybody connected and able to hear us. Commissioner Orashan, are you able to hear us? Have him check his microphone settings.
Are we still standing by, Chris?
Yes, Scott. We're having trouble with Alan's connection for some reason. He's not showing a microphone on there, but he's calling in.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Chris, does he not see the microphone in the lower corner of that box? Like if he moves the mouse around, it disappears unless you move your mouse. So I'm wondering if maybe that's why he doesn't see it.
He's apparently on his phone.
Okay. Yeah, it might be tougher that way. He may want to try to hang up and do it again, click the link and come back in. I've had some people have success doing it that way and just canceling this one and then clicking the link and coming back in.
Thanks. Rory's on the phone with him.
Okay.
Welcome, Commissioner Orishan. Can you hear us? Alan? Still, I can see you, but I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me. Are you on? It must be a setting problem on your phone or your computer or something, because I'm not showing a microphone for you. There we go. Looks like you're connecting. Appreciate everybody's patience with this. Seems to be a problem with your audio, Alan. Can you call in using your phone?
Is he trying to use a video as well on his phone through the app?
I don't know.
Because I mean, I'm just obviously just calling in. I if he accepted the invite, he can just dial that, hit the dial button on the invitation. It should dial him right in.
Right,
Now
that's
that,
what
now
I'm,
that,
that's what I'm trying to encourage, but okay, Commissioner Roshan has offered to join us as soon as he can call in, but we're going to go ahead and proceed otherwise.
Again, has everybody looked at the minutes of the May 4th regular meeting? And are there any corrections or additions needed?
I looked at the minutes. I don't have any corrections.
Scott, if you move, I will second.
I'll move to approve.
Again, I have to abstain because I was not at the meeting.
Okay. So I think Chuck seconded.
Right. Scott made the, Scott, and then Chuck second.
Yes. All in.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next thing on the agenda would be the financial statement from April 2020 and year-to-date budget report and cash balance report. Are there any questions about that?
Just flipping to it, Tom, just a moment.
Yeah, I am as well.
Could I have a motion to approve financial statement, budget report?
So this is Chuck. I'll move to approve the April month-to-date, year-to-date budget and cash balance report for 2020.
I'll second.
Chuck made the motion, made by Chuck, seconded by Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next item on the agenda is the executive director update.
Okay, did you have any questions for me on the report that was sent out?
Well, I'm flipping back to that.
Yeah, same, Chris.
I've got a quick question. In regards to the traffic counters that are going to be installed, do we have an idea where they're going to be located?
Craig will handle that.
Right now, the locations are Lake Rockwell parking lot on the hike and bike, Towner's Woods, the entrance to the trail in the park, and on the headwaters at State Route 700.
Will those be the permanent locations, or you'll be moving them around to check different locations?
They're able to be moved.
Okay. And does this replace the estimates that we were doing in the past?
Actually, we were just talking about doing some in-person counts as well to just do a little quality control on that and, see how they pan out. And I know Andrea and Rory and I were talking about that. Don't know if we have any volunteers ready to roll yet, but yeah, that I think would be a good thing, at least one or two rounds of counts, human counts to see how it plays out. And then this also is still going to hopefully be augmented by about another 15 to 20 counters that we would get through our ODOT grant, but those weren't considered essential purchases now, and the state has put a freeze on that for a while.
Got it.
This is Andrea. I do have, we had requests for volunteers for the bike and pedestrian count. So we are working on getting instructions out for that, and we'll do that regularly. But we have people interested.
Great.
Thanks, Andrea.
Thank you.
So my question for you, Chris, is with the COVID response, you gave us a nice update last month about how we've been affected and the different actions the park is taking, the park district is taking. Has anything substantially changed this month? It was earlier this month, so several weeks ago.
Yeah, nothing substantially at this point. I do need to follow up to see what the latest guidance is on summer camps. Even though we don't operate one ourselves, we do have Camp Spellman, and we did just receive a request for a reservation for 50 to 60 people. My sense is that that's probably not going to happen, but I do, before we reply, I'll see what the state's guidance is on that.
Yeah, the state does have guidance on campgrounds. Is this an overnight request?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's specific campground guidance that is posted on the Ohio website.
Okay, great. I'll check into that. I would presume it's going to include some heavy social distancing, and I don't know if we're going to, be able to. We certainly wouldn't be able to police that, and it's kind of doubtful that with 50 scouts you'd be able to meet that. But anyway, it's worth looking into.
Absolutely, thank you.
Chris,
The other-
This is Jennifer. I just wanted to give the board an update. There were 2 organizations that we had scheduled to work with their day camps this summer, and both of those have contacted me within the last week just to confirm that they are canceling their summer camp programs. So currently, we don't have anything that's scheduled in terms of summer camp programs right now for the summer.
Okay, it's good to know. Thanks.
Yeah, Jennifer, as long as you're there, I would just say, to the extent that we can provide virtual programming to families, I think that would be a benefit since school will be ending. And I know as a parent, options will be limited as far as places to keep my kids and things I have to do. So I appreciate all your efforts thus far, and anything you can do with that is appreciated.
Thank you, Scott. In fact, we have quite a few things planned for the rest of the summer, and I'm excited to continue our virtual remote programming.
Thanks so much.
And
That's
if
great,
you
thank
haven't visited, check out the Park District's YouTube channel, because the videos that have been done and Jen's posted on there, and our nature walks, and I think Andrea's done some projects, so they're all on there. And people can visit them at any time. I did get a chance to peek in on a YouTube live birding program last Thursday, which was very informative and fun. So yeah, I really appreciate all the work that Andrea and Jen have put together and getting these programs out there in lieu of in-person contact. The other, regarding the report, the other major change is the Headwaters Trail project. We can discuss it more if you like, but for a number of reasons, I am recommending that is pushed to 2021. Basically, we just, the grant is supposed to end on October 20th. The state's willing to give us an extension through to the end of 2021. And we don't even have the final plans designed or reviewed or approved yet. So the construction schedule is just really not possible this year. So unfortunately, we had hoped to get that done this year, but it's not going to really impact the use of the trail that much to push it off next year.
This is Chuck. I'm fine with it being pushed off. I was also, I think, kind of encouraged to see what the consultant advised to not necessarily have to push the trail down to the intersection of Infirmary Road. Hopefully that'll work out to where it can just terminate right now, right at Mennonite Road is my understanding. It would have to do a guardrail cut of some sort there.
Yes.
If that moves forward in that direction, or it gets approved, I guess, by all involved. Okay.
Again, having more time to figure that out would be good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Scott, I concur with what Chuck's saying, and I agree with moving it.
Have you done anything, this is Chuck, with the master plan update, Chris? You have that mentioned here. We have spoken about it in the past, but anything new regarding that, or?
Just that I feel like it's worthy of putting a lot of focused time and attention into it, and I didn't want to rush it to try to get it done, at an artificial time. We were looking at if the environmental conservation dinner was going to happen in September, that would be a nice time to present it then and roll that out. But especially with the changes with our with the COVID and the staffing, and it's a new reality for all of us for the next couple of years anyway. So I just I want to put that off, and we'll take some more time on this year.
Yeah, I would concur. I mean, we need to check in on it to keep ourselves kind of somewhat true to it when we're proper, but also as we start to think about the next levy cycle, because that's where a lot of, I think, what we need to have to go back to the public needs to speak about that and what we've accomplished, and maybe in there, and also some things above and beyond that weren't even talked about.
Exactly. I completely agree that it needs to be done. I have looked out through 2025 on some very rough budgets. We can talk about that more next month with adoption of the 2021 tax budget. But it gives us an idea about how much we would have available in capital and in operating. So that'll give us some benchmarks for what we can expect by way of projects. You know, we never know what kind of grants we can get to match it. And the grant world, I think, is probably going to change some in the next few years. But you know, it gives us some idea about what parks we can develop and what new land acquisition we can do.
Nice.
Again,
This is Chuck again. I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversation regarding Trail Lake plans, but I did notice in there where Zach Steele was going to volunteer and or donate the materials for the ADA launch.
Yes.
Is that correct? That's excellent, Mike. Do we know what kind of maybe you indicated, but the value potential in that?
Potentially tens of thousands of dollars. That's why I know he offered to donate it, you know, to construct it and donate it outright. And he's going to get us an AutoCAD drawing that we can look at and work on with him. But that is a very generous offer, and I would come back and suggest that we'll see what the ultimate plan would cost, and I think it would be fine for us to, you know, contribute to that. So.
Again, I know we're talking about naming rights and something like that. I know this isn't, you want to name a park after, but nice little plaque to commemorate his donation might be in order.
Sure. Yeah, this is his family's side business on Berlin Lake. I'm not sure how wide their geographic area is of their business, but it'll be a nice exposure for him as well. Some promotion.
Okay.
Any other questions on the report?
Nothing from me. This is Scott.
This is Chuck. I'm good at this point. Thank you.
Again, I know it's not in here. I know you and I talked briefly, Chris, about a possible replacement for Doug. Is there any more discussion about that? Or is it
No more discussion on that. I did meet with a previous volunteer park ranger for us who did not have the time to do it. So yeah, we'll have to post it or you know, ask around.
Chris, how much were we preparing to spend? I know because at one time we actually were going up to 1.5, I guess. I know that Doug was part-time, but we were actually, you know, at one time actually had a person and a half, you know, helping to satisfy that niche for us need. I mean, what are we ultimately looking at to try to spend to have someone do that for us?
I can get you the breakout for that position. Doug was spending about 8 hours a week. When Zach was with us, he was spending about another 8 to 12 hours. So, you know, we were still at under 20 hours a week. And, you know, that I think that could be a reasonable allocation for one or both rangers. The tricky thing is, you know, having a chief ranger that's only part-time, you know, how can we make that fit with maybe another part-time or full-time job of theirs? So.
Sure. Okay. Okay, so we're looking to post that then should we try to be considering hiring with potential more hours for one individual, or do you think maybe we should be perhaps entertaining the option of 2 people at this time, maybe different classifications perhaps, but I mean.
Yeah, I think we could advertise the chief ranger position. And that, I guess I would start there and just see what kind of candidates we get and what kind of time they have. It may be 8 hours a week is reasonable to add to somebody's schedule. It may be that if we wanted that person to be 20 hours a week, that would just be too much. course, who knows? We might find a retired police officer or retired ranger that would fit perfectly for us. So I think,
Okay.
What are the amount of hours that we think we need to have to effectively cover a position? Again, I understand if we're looking at someone who's working somewhere else, that their needs might be half-time, but what are our needs for a full-time position?
I
or-
don't see the need for a full-time position myself. Now, we can talk about that maybe in executive session if you'd like. But you know, we've had a few incidents, but you know, right now it's a lot of public relations work with the public, and I don't know that we have enough activity to warrant a full-time position yet. Sure. I think 20 hours a week, 20 to 24 maybe a week would be reasonable. Anything else?
I have no other questions.
Okay.
There's some other things under maintenance. Gonna go through those things or just,
I mean, if there's anything in particular you have a question on, or.
we move on to, action items.
Yeah, we've got our, the information items. So the Trail Lake plans and cost estimates, unfortunately, are still in progress. We've had a number of back and forths with our consulting engineer on this to make sure that we get everything included in that cost estimate that needs to be in there. I had emailed out to you the range of cost estimates for the 3 different surfaces for the trail that we had requested. In my estimation, the preferred alternate would be the asphalt trail. It's going to give us the most durable surface, the most accessible surface, and not be prone to erosion. So the way the bid would go is that we do have a base bid for all of the base work, and then the alternates for the different trail surfaces coming onto that. We really, we don't have any idea how the bids are going to come in this year. I mean, it's, you know, kind of all bets are off at this point, I think, depending on the construction season. We might get some really great bids. There might be some backlog of work, and we might not, might be a very tight market. So my recommendation, when it comes time to it, would be to go ahead and just authorize the bidding. And once we get the bids, we can make that decision as to whether it fits in our budget or not.
That's what the resolution is, that the authorization to bid, that's what you're looking for without us defining or identifying the chip and seal or the
Correct.
limestone. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So we'll have those numbers when we get the bids in before the June meeting. And that would give us the span of the options that we have.
So these are, just so I'm clear with the base bid, when you say that, is that for the installation of the base to sustain asphalt one way or the other? Is that how, what we're speaking about when you refer to the base bid?
Correct.
Or, okay, and that's spec to hold asphalt and or concrete, whatever the surface would be the most durable. That's how they're spec'd out.
Correct. So, you know, ultimately, we would be able to come back in if we didn't do asphalt initially, we could come back and do it at a later time. Of course, you know, it would be spending money on a surface that, you know, would be in the interim.
Okay.
So then asphalt is the alternate?
So what we have is what we have is the base bid for the trail and also the trailhead work, which is concrete. The other base would be any of the grading, any of the repair work with the erosion areas, all of the earthwork, and then the installation and compaction of any base stone. So there's some soft spots out there that might need like 6 inches of limestone, large limestone, before you are ready to prepare it for a surface of whatever material we choose. So, right, that's the intention, is that we have the base, and then if we want to go with asphalt, that's the line for the asphalt.
So this is what we're talking about, though, so that I'm clear, is the phase 1 trail that would go the whole way around the lake.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll also have natural surface trails that are just mown.
Yeah.
And then part of the old drive around the lake will remain and be repaired with a gravel surface, but that's not going to be accessible. What we're talking about is the accessible trail having either a limestone surface, which is fine. That would be like our Headwaters Trail surface, which is holding
Yeah.
up well. The only concern with it here is, there are some times of the year when it's soft and can leave some ruts, and so it's not as accessible. And then the other thing is that if you get into over 3 to 4% of slope, then you're prone to erosion. That has to be extra maintenance and attention onto that. So right now, it's been designed to have grades of 5% or less, which is ADA. But that, if we get 4.5%, we might have some erosion if we just have a limestone surface. So the 3 alternates were a compacted limestone trail surface, a chip and seal surface, which would take care of the erosion problem, and then the asphalt, of course, which would be the preferred surface.
Got it.
In regards to
Thank you.
Trail surfaces, we're talking about the base. So the topping of it, is there a significant difference in the topping?
Could you repeat that? I can't hear what Tom's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hear it
The
either.
question was, this resolution has to do with the base for the 3 different surfaces, limestone, chip and seal, or asphalt. My question was, the toppings that would go on that base, is there a significant difference in costs once we top them, if that makes sense?
So the difference is about $200,000 from the limestone base to the asphalt base. Per the engineer's cost estimate that I have in my hands right now. Like I said, there's still some things that need to be changed on that. And that includes, those estimates from the engineer include a 10% contingency.
Well, this is Chuck. I mean, I feel we need to put it out for bid. And I mean, we're just, until we put it to the test, put it on the market, see what it costs. I mean, we've had enough engineering estimates. We need to figure out what it's going to actually cost. So I'm going to move to approve the authorization to bid Trail Lake Park, the trailhead and trail construction, to get some cost so we can figure out what to work with here.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion was made by Chuck, second by Alan.
Second by
All in
Scott.
favor?
Want to do a roll call vote?
Oh, roll call vote, I'm sorry.
Was it the second by Scott or Alan? I heard Scott.
Yeah. I heard Alan speak first, but I'm in the room.
By the way, Alan showed up here in the office, even though his face is still on the video screen. Bless his heart, he drove in to be here in person.
Oh, hi, Al.
Okay, so
I didn't know you were there.
hi, Alan. So I think we just need to be I think we just need to be clear on who seconded it, because I heard Scott. I did not hear Alan. So just what does the meeting notes, what are they going to reflect?
I'm gonna go with Alan.
Thank you, Rory.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll do a roll call quickly. Commissioner Engelhardt,
Yes,
Commissioner Orashan,
Yes.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes,
Commissioner McKinney.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. Motion passed. Next on the agenda, under new business, I believe would be the budget 2020 appropriations.
Well, this is the preliminary budget 2021 tax budget. So every year in June, we have to approve the next year's estimated tax budget. Again, this is something that we present in May so that you can see some general ideas. We've got between now and June meeting to make any changes to that. We have a public hearing as part of our June meeting. And after that, you would adopt the 2021 tax budget. And what that does is that gives a number to the Budget Commission, and they can then certify those funds for us, and then we would appropriate at the end of the year for 2021. And of course, we can always change it, the budget at any time after the initial appropriation. But this provides the base budget to the Budget Commission so they know what kind of revenues we're going to expect and what kind of carryover we expect from 2020 to 2021. So what you have, it's actually it printed out on the back of the financial report. So you should see it's a colorful spreadsheet, and you should say at the top, it says 2021 preliminary tax budget.
I see it, Chris.
Okay.
So have we received any guidance from the office regarding tax collection for the next year, if they're anticipating any issues with that, given the state of the economy?
I have not heard anything from the Budget Commission. Rory, have you gotten anything?
We did receive our 2021 estimates, and it's exactly the same as last year.
All right, so which is basically based on what the levy would have produced, so that makes sense. I was just curious if they had any special guidance considering the situation of the world at the moment.
I think the second half taxes are going to be revealing for us. You know, a lot of people with the property taxes, it's bundled in with their mortgage payment, so that might not be an issue. But you know, I'm trying to be conservative with our estimates so that we don't, you know, we might anticipate some defaults or some different deferrals on those property tax payments.
Do you have any change in the tax structure, in the staff structure based on the budget you're proposing?
No, it's pretty much the same staffing as we had this year budgeted. So, but in you'll see later on under new business, the budget appropriations amendment for 2020, I'm reducing the personnel line because there were some budgeted staff positions that have not been filled yet.
Right.
So basically what I've put in there for 2021 is what we originally had for 2020. So same organizational chart.
Great, that's helpful. Those are my questions. Thank you.
This is Chuck, Chris, just it would be helpful when we're looking at this for next year or whatever, if we could perhaps put another column in next to where it says draft for 2021 that may show the percent increase or decrease per each
Sure.
line item. It would be a lot easier to look at and probably make more informed questions for you as far as, well, why that much in this area or whatever. I mean, I just think it just helps to shed light on significant moves potentially. It helps us, I guess, see it a little bit easier, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
And then as a reminder, the board appropriates at the unit level. So we have the units of personnel services, contract services, materials and supplies, and then capital outlay. And then within those units, I have the ability to move between lines, you know, to detail it out a little
Yeah.
bit more.
That's fine. Yeah, that's my only, I guess, with my only 2 cents at the moment on this, just to be more an easier thing snapshot wise to look at for any changes one way or the other from what we're currently looking at versus what you're recommending or proposing for the next year. That's fine.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can send that out to you all, along with the staffing plan. And anything else you have questions on? So I guess if there aren't any other major changes to the unit levels here, what the next step is we go ahead and we put a legal ad in the newspaper indicating that the draft budget is available for review. This is a summary of the budget. The actual budget has lots of different pages to it. So, you know, I will get that out to you, but this is the basic information. The only appropriations in the capital fund I show now are for the Headwaters Trail project. But the other funds, we will have a new fund by the end of this meeting, probably the Eagle Creek Fund. And we may, you know, if we want to do a project in there next year, then we would have some activity there, but we don't have that fund created yet.
Okay.
Yeah, Chris, I see that, you know, there's a lot of room in that capital. So I think as we look forward to next year, having some ideas of the other projects you're interested in for the year. And I know that there's a lot of unknowns. So, you know, you have some things there, but that'd be helpful to see.
Sure. Yeah, I've started looking into that. Like you mentioned, the grants are an unknown. Over the next 5 years, though, I believe from 2021 through 2025, rough number 1.6 million in capital. So with all of the big ideas that we have, it's not going to go very far. But yeah, I can put some project numbers to that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
I guess
Matt,
we're,
do you wanna move
I'm
forward?
good.
Under new business, the first resolution is Resolution 220, which is resolution approving Portage Park District expenditures for the month of April 2020. Please review those. If there are any questions.
I have to scroll to look for it.
Yeah, I did review. I don't have any questions.
Someone like to make a motion to approve Resolution 220, the Park Portage District expenditure for the month of April 2020.
Move to approve. This is Alan.
Is there a second?
I'll second, pending Chuck's ability to take a look at it.
I'm fine, Scott. Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Orashan,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes,
Commissioner Hurdy,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next resolution would be the in regards to the creation of the Eagle Creek Greenway Fund.
Actually, the appropriations amendment. That's this one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one, the budget appropriations amendment.
So a little background on this. In preparing for the 2021 budget and looking at our cash flow and all of the different grants that we have had out there and will be getting paid reimbursements from the grants. As I've explained before, when we do the original budgets for the grant projects that get submitted with the grant application, there are some elements of it that are unknown at the time. And so there, just like any budget, it's a general estimate of what the costs might be. And then the grant, as it's agreed to, will reimburse for a certain percentage. For us, usually it's about 74% with these Clean Ohio grants, sometimes less than that. So when it finally all shakes out, when we finally finish the project and we've contracted everything, sometimes our local share is more than was originally estimated. So the amount that is returned and reimbursed by the grants and returned to the general fund is less than was originally anticipated. So, and then likewise, there's a change in time. Maybe projects go spanning over a couple of years. So with all of that in mind, our cash advance returns are going to be less in our general fund. So our general fund revenues are going to be less than was originally budgeted this year. And likewise, some of our other expense lines are less than what we originally anticipated. So that's why we have so many decreases in the general fund line and in the headwaters line. But then we never had appropriated fund and money in some of these other some of these other capital funds like the Berlin Lake Trail Fund, the Morgan Park Fund, the Kent Bog Fund. So before we can spend that money or move that money, it has to be appropriated. So that's the perhaps not so clear explanation of the budget amendment. But basically it's moving around money that's already in our accounts.
So again, for my simple question, I'm a simple person, increases are money coming in and decreases are money.
Tom, could you speak up, please?
Oh, I says, again, just try and clarify for myself. Under the increase column, that would be monies that are coming into our fund or being moved into the fund, and decreases are moving out of the fund.
Or at the unit level. So if we look at the general fund, number 8,600 up there,
Right.
each one of those units that has an asterisk next to the number, they have a certain amount appropriated in it right now. And right now, I'm suggesting that each one of those units is decreased by that amount that's appropriated in there. So it's just a decrease within that fund. It's not really talking about the overall
Right, moving.
new or not, revenues. Okay.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns in regards to this resolution?
This is Scott, no questions.
This is Chuck, no questions.
There are no other questions or concerns. Can I have a motion made for this resolution of budget appropriations?
Okay, this is Alan. I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
This is Chuck. I'll second.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Hurdy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes?
Commissioner Orashan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
The next resolution before us would be the authorizing Clean Ohio Green Space Agreement for Eagle Creek Greenway Phase 1A and B. Any explanations or?
These are the standard grants with the state of Ohio. As you'll recall, it's the same farm property, the Carlisle Farm up in Hiram. We broke it out into, or two parcels. We broke it into two different grants, 1A and 1B. So there we go. It's just we need to enter into the agreement with the state before we can start working on the project.
This is Chuck Griffith. Well, honest, I'm just curious. I mean, how, as far as a deadline, or I don't want to say deadline, but we'll consider in the current situation, I heard that all of the grants through the state of Ohio have been put on hold. So is that just because this was in motion prior to COVID that we're still moving forward with this, or?
It may be.
Insight to that?
I don't, other than I just got this grant agreement from the state like last week, within the last couple of weeks. So so that was a relief to me that they decided to go ahead with this round. I wonder whether we will have a round. Usually it's every January that we submit our applications. I am a little doubtful that we're going to have a round in January, but that's just me. So.
Okay. Well, this is, I mean, I don't know if there are any more questions for Chris or not. I'll hold.
None from me, Chuck.
Okay, well, if there are none for anyone else, I'll move to approve to authorize a Clean Ohio Green Space Agreement for Eagle Creek Greenway phases 1A and B.
Is there a second to Chuck?
I'll second.
Motion made by Chuck, second by Scott. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hardy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes.
Commissioner Orshan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and the last thing on our agenda is the creation of the Eagle Creek Greenway Fund.
Yes, so this is a separate capital fund. A lot of times the state grants require you to segregate funds so they're not commingled and you can account for them easily. So that's what this is about. The grant monies would be deposited into this, and what we do is cash advance money into this fund from our general fund to cash flow the project. And after we get the grant reimbursement, we can return whatever balance to the general fund. So the appropriations amendment that you just passed for 2020 includes the advance out of $325,000 to this fund, and that would be our local share for that.
And that's what we have to advance, Chris, just out of, I mean, when you say we have to advance pay for these, I mean, that it would be plus or minus our match that we have to cash advance in. It's not for the total sum, and then we get recouped for.
Correct. We don't, the state offers what they call a pre-closing option, pre-closing disbursement option, so that we don't have to cash flow the entire acquisition. So what I would do is I would wire over our portion of that, the 26% of the acquisition costs to the title agency, and the state would wire their portion directly to the title agency before closing. So that's a help. So instead of having to forward over $1.1 million, we only have to forward 300.
Well, and that's good. Thank you for clarifying, because, while we're looking at all the budget questions and stuff, and especially moving forward, and if we don't have these massive, or the surpluses, if you will, that we're looking at, it would definitely something we have to be more mindful of, what we have to cash advance, whether or not we have that. I'm sure, and that's what you would caution us on that as well. I'm sure. I trust that.
That's why we did this. Yep.
Yep. Thank you.
Are there any other questions in regards to this resolution?
No.
No.
Do Would someone make a motion to approve the creation of the Eagle Creek Greenway Fund?
I'll make the motion.
Scott made the motion. Is someone seconding?
Second, this is Alan.
Alan seconds. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, Commissioner Herdy,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes?
Commissioner Orshan,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there anything else on our agenda? If not, I would like to make, first of all, just make a comment in regards to the good work that's being done, given the challenges that this format is presenting us. Also, it's my first board member as the president, so a little choppy myself. But all that being said, I think what I would like to do is make a motion to end the meeting.
Can I ask a couple questions or make a comment?
Sure.
First, thanks to staff, Andrea, Chris, Rory, for the audio this time. I think was much better on my end than the last meeting. So whichever of you all were responsible for that, it's much appreciated. I could hear everybody better, especially from the office staff. So thank you for that. And my question is regarding signing of resolutions. Since it's our practice to usually do that while we're at the meeting to sign any resolutions, do you guys have a backup plan yet for how we're going to be doing that in a remote environment?
Well, yeah, Rory and I were just talking about that. We're going to see if the auditor's office is okay with accepting scanned signatures independently. And if they are, and even if it's just a temporary thing to file the resolution with them, then we can do that. And then when we're all able to convene in person again someday, we can sign them for the board proceedings. Otherwise, we'll just shuttle them around to you guys and catch up with you when you're available.
Thank you, Chris. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I think you probably discussed this, but those structures that were proposed for the Russell site, and just use an example of the Geauga Park District Headwaters Boathouse below. Boy, what a nice addition that would be at the Russell site. Really nice building. Deepwoods Lodge example, I was never a fan of those all-in-one shed roofs. The part that overhangs the open part of the shed doesn't do a lot of good. I just assume you do a gable roof and maybe a porch extension if you went that route. But
Sure.
other than that, they're both good examples.
Yeah, well, and my objective with that was just to get some real ballpark cost estimates to help us with our budgeting going forward. And I know that our foundation, the Portage Park District Foundation, has had some interest in learning what they might be able to support us with special projects at different levels of funding. So that was the impetus for getting together with this architect, and it was Craig and I met with him, and we went to the 3 different sites. So what I shared with you were the cost estimates, and this is what I also shared with the foundation the other night. The cost estimates for a possible shelter at the Russell property, which would mean removing the house, renovating the pool house into a reservable shelter, and then perhaps having some kind of a patio, outdoor patio deck area. For the Trail Lake Lodge, again, trying to think through what perhaps a medium level structure would be. It's a starting point for our discussions to determine what kind of style we want, and how much we want to invest in each structure, what the size would be, that kind of thing. We also went out to Morgan Park and looked at the tan agricultural building that's currently just storage. with the thought of a future program center / administrative offices. That rough estimate came in somewhere around $1 million. So, you know, it just gives us something to think about going forward. The other thing to keep in mind with this architecture firm is that they worked with Stark Park District to develop a design guidelines manual to look at the styles that they are going to, you know, make their own going into the future for a lot of different elements. So, you know, that might be something we want to think about with this or any other architecture firm to really work with us, staff and board, and you know, see whether we want a shed roof or a gable roof or a hip roof or whatever they are. But you know, this was just a real rough starting point so we could put some numbers into our budget looking forward.
Chris, are we I can't recall honestly going back as far as Trail Lake. I mean, were we having a shelter site there? I mean, is that part of what we're all in agreement we're going to move forward and do as part of this phase 1 of opening Trail Lake, or is that something that's still open? I mean, no reason for me asking that is that obviously we have a lot of other parks, you know, and of varying degrees of completion, and just wondering. I mean, it sounds like if we do that at Trail Lake, I mean that'll pretty much complete it, which is not a bad thing, but I just kind of want to be mindful of, you know, initiating a park that never existed from the public's perspective and having that go from 0 to 100% complete, and then have other park properties that were just, you know, were small sections or small things in them over time. That's
I understand where you're coming from, and I've started on that, and I need to finish that for you all. Is sort of the priorities and the status of each of our properties, and which properties are appropriate for opening now or soon or maybe never. For instance, the Gray Birch Bog property, and so, you know, with descriptions as to why we're doing what we're doing, and that was also intended to go into the master plan update, to be able to explain to the public, you know, why we haven't opened Chagrin Headwaters Park yet, for instance. So no, I do appreciate all that. With regards to Trail Lake, we're doing the design now in anticipation of a shelter being located off of the parking lot on the slope that would overlook the lake. And so that's actually one of the sticking points with the final design here, is the location of the dock and fishing pier in relation to where the future shelter would be. But we wanted something close to the parking lot, and that would be a great view there. But the site would certainly be usable without a structure if one didn't show up for years even. You know, we'll have benches,
Sure.
we'll have the trail, we'll have some picnic tables in different areas, fishing opportunities, that kind of thing. And
that's great. Thank you. I mean, I definitely appreciate, you know, obviously the forethought of obviously citing something, or have the vision for something there, but I would like to make sure we're having a conversation about when we're getting ready to put these types of structures up, that we're thinking more holistically of all of the park properties, I guess, and where we're at with the development within them. So, okay, thank you.
Sure. Anything else?
Yeah, I had a comment. I've been spending a lot of time in Downers Woods, and there are literally hundreds of people going through there even during weekdays, hundreds. I'd say 98, 99% people are abiding by the rules. Some aren't, and they stand out like a sore thumb when they don't. Bikes in the park, dogs off leashes. We really need to consider, with all these properties that we've got, our park patrol in hiring one or more people to work on that. And I know that doesn't happen immediately, but with Doug leaving us, well, we got to seriously work on getting some coverage on that. I've mentioned a few things to people, but they don't really. Who's this old guy talking? Anyhow, that's my comment. We really need to seriously think about our patrol situation.
And I think you did mention we're gonna be advertising for that coming, so. But any other questions or comments?
I'm
I'm
good,
good. This is
Tom.
Chuck.
So would you like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move to adjourn, Mrs. Allen.
Have a second?
I'll second. This is Scott.
Roll call?
Okay. Commissioner Rorschach,
Yes.
Commissioner McKinney,
Yes?
Commissioner Hurdy,
Yes.
Commissioner Engelhardt.
Yes.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Safe.
And